Hey everyone, it's me, Danielle, and just thought I would share about the last couple of weeks and some different things that I experienced. Um, that was my dog. He just cleared his throat, in case you were wondering. Um, so strangely, and it's weird how things come in waves, but this past couple of weeks, I've been dealing with beings that are not in a physical form. So one night, as I was laying in bed, I saw that there was this like cloud being up and to the right of my bed, and it was doing these little lightnings. The lightning looked like it was trying to spell words so that it could communicate with me. And it was just moving too fast, and I couldn't make out the words. And I did say to it, slow down. You move too fast. I can't read that. So I had talked to Michael Shaman about it, and he said that there was four of them. There was like two parents and two children, little clouds, and that they were going to come visit me again, which they did. But it was like I woke up in the middle of the night and they were there, and I was like so tired that I didn't have the energy to try to communicate with them, and I just went back to sleep. But that was the first one. Now the second one, I had filled out a web form to perhaps take some training on releasing negative attachments from people. I already do some of that anyways, but I thought it couldn't hurt, if the price was affordable, to learn from somebody else. You never know, they might teach you something that, helps you, or just, rounds you out. And on top of that, they give you a certificate, and that's what people are like, oh, I'm a licensed and certified whatever. And it's just one psychic giving another psychic person a little graduation certificate. So I filled out the online form. I'm in the group on Facebook, and I start learning quickly that they do things very differently than the way I have already been taught by Michael Shaman, which is not good or bad. It's just different. And so I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to learn new things. Sorry about that. I just had to pause the camera because the dogs were going crazy in the neighborhood all of a sudden. So one of the things that this group, which I'm not going to name the group or anybody involved, but one of the things that's different is that they teach that you work in pairs for safety to get rid of negative attachments or spirit attachments. So one of the people would be a medium who remote views or whatever, goes out of body to look at the attachment or what's going on with the person. And the other person watches the medium and works with a spirit guide who flies off and does the actual clearing. All right, that's the way they encourage to work. So I'm getting the picture that this is their protocol. And it sort of is different than what I've been taught so far by Michael Shaman. Like, so far, I've not been of the school that we are not powerful. Like, we are powerful beings. We are creators incarnate. And this method is sort of like the person, you, whoever is taking the course, the therapist, whatever, the practitioner, is not actually doing anything. It's just your guides. I mean, not to say just, but it's your guides that are doing this work. Like, I don't know, it's almost implying that we aren't powerful enough to release a negative attachment on our own. Anyway, it's totally different. I'd love to hear what anyone else thinks about these ideas that we are or we are not strong enough or powerful enough to protect ourselves, call on guides for help, and possibly throw something in the light on our own. What does anyone else think? Because, you know, I'm actually thinking that we are that. But anyways, I end up getting a Zoom interview, like an intake type interview, to see where I'm at and what I'm interested in and what, why I would want to learn this process. And I'm still, even though I know that it's a team um, that does this kind of work, I'm still open to learning this methodology and see what it's about, or if it's great or not great. And the guy that does the intake, again, not gonna say any names, he says that he only wanted to work with a being that he called the One, um, and that one day a guide comes along and says, "I'm the One," and so that's who he works with. And he's got this image behind him of a Merlin-y character. I've seen Merlin before, so I'm like resonating with that. So, he's saying that that's the One. The One is this sorcerer, bearded sorcerer. Um, so later that night, I go to bed and something starts messing with me. And it was really weird, but it was sort of like a cloud again, non-physical form. But I could tell that it was three beings that were combining together to make one being. And then I saw the bearded head at the top of the cloud. So it felt really strong because I was kind of impressed with the strength of it, thinking like, this is ET strong. This isn't like uh un like a person who's passed on a spirit. This is stronger than that. But I'm not sure because, like I said, it was three. I could tell it was three. Two that didn't have heads that they were maybe hiding from me, and I could see the one head, so I knew who it was. And I don't know what they were doing. I don't know why they were messing with me. Was it a test? Were they seeing if I could defend myself, or how strong am I, or were they trying to take energy? And since I didn't know what they were doing, I just encased myself in flames so they couldn't touch me anymore. Um, and and that was it. They couldn't touch me anymore. But the next morning when I got up, my daughter said that this weird old man was at the end of her bed with a beard, and he was reaching out at her, and she said he was grumpy, and she kind of said he looked like Scrooge to her, which is like kind of funny because it's Christmas. So Pat, ghost of Christmas present. Um, so I did talk to Michael Shaman about this. I don't know that this group of people are discerning what they're working with, and it kind of sucks that they're doing intake questions, for people like me or other psychics and mediums, and that these beings that are working with them are flying around and possibly attacking these other psychics. But those three won't be bothering anyone again, so they're gone. Uh, the last non-physical formed being, I'm not going to bother to show the meditation this time, but I was hired to do spirit guide artwork. And at first I saw this magenta color forming, and then there was a hole in the center, and I thought it was a portal, so I'm waiting. Am I going through a portal to meet the guide? And then I realized that this was the guide. So I'm going to share my screen right now. So her main guide was actually this. It was like a magenta. It almost looked like a flower or an anemone, the way they have like layers of petals, but it was all like cloudy formed. And in the center was these green specks of light, almost like green stars. And I could communicate with it by asking questions. In the center, that black hole in the middle, would fill up with a green light or a red light for yes or no. And I've not experienced a guide like this before, but when they get into this level where they aren't even in a physical form, that's like a really higher level. Like I believe ninth density and higher can do a lot of shape shifting and whatnot, but they can also be non-physical like this. Um, so I got that this was my client's higher self. And then I also saw that she had an Arcturian guide. And so I created some artwork for her so she could see what that guide looks like. But I put the main one in the background, just so she could see what that looks like. So that's her higher self and her main spirit guide. Um, I had just talked to Dr. Gale on her channel, and she did ask me about animals specifically. And I do always see a couple of the spirit animals for people, and I know that they're helpful. And I haven't, and at the time when I was talking to Dr. Gale on her channel, I forgot about this story. But so since I'm getting ready for Christmas, I thought I would share. I know that I'm safe. I could share this before Christmas because my friends and family don't bother to watch my channel. Well, some of them do, but the ones that I'm going to talk about don't. So my brother was telling me um, his first incarnation was what, we don't know what to call it. So Michael Shaman and I, we call it a star being. We have star beings too. I've integrated my star being, and it took me a year or two of raising my vibration and, and getting my physical body in to be basically a habitable environment for something so high vibration as this star being. So I am fully integrated with my star being. My brother integrated his star being, and I kind of felt like he's probably going to have to go through the same bit where he needs to raise his vibration and, get to this part where his body is habitable. So soon after, he sees Michael Shaman and they integrate the star being into my brother. He's laying in bed and he sees his star being come out of his body, and my brother bubbles up. Now, normally you bubble up to keep something out from bothering you. My brother bubbled up to try to keep his star being from leaving him. And I guess he heard his star being say, "I'm not a star being, I'm a being of consciousness." And I thought that was hilarious because it's awfully moody. And my brother called on his spirit animal is a platypus, and my brother knew that they do echolocation. And he said, "Platypus, help me see this star being, my being of consciousness better." And so his platypus started barking, this echolocation at the being of consciousness, and it was hitting him and it was like lighting him up so that my brother could see him better. And so my brother wanted me to draw it for him. I saw his being of consciousness, but not well enough to draw it really well. And I've tried a couple of times. I saw the shape and I did see him pretty good, but let me share again so you guys can see. Since I didn't see him super, super well, I did this artwork. I made it pop art. So it's got this like red, almost like a crab shell head. And, so like I said, I didn't see it well enough to do a really highly detailed drawing, but I decided to make it this pop art with the platypus sending these echolocations and the being of consciousness looking at the platypus. So it's kind of a whole story, but I drew that for my brother, and I actually had it framed. I made a print, I had it framed. All my drawings that I do so that a person can make an 8x10 frame if they upload it on, a website like Shutterfly, which I think they come out really nice. especially when you throw them in a frame. But that way, you can get a framed representation of one of your incarnations, a past life, your higher self or your spirit guide. And it helps you when you're close your eyes to have something to visualize who you're talking to or, connect with better, because it makes the connection stronger actually. And it is a bit like, what's the word? It's like the artwork manifests the being to you. It's hard to explain, but this is why when I get hired, I ask the person to send me a picture of their face, because it gives me that visual to connect and hook into the person so that I can get to their spirit team. So that is my brother's Christmas gift. I made a print. He hasn't seen the artwork yet. I know he's not going to watch this, so I'm not worried about ruining his Christmas gift. But what do you get your friends who are, you know, on the spiritual nature, type thing? So I did a painting. I've already did paintings of my friend's cats. She had two cats, and I did paintings for her of her cats. But one of the cats I had looking at a crystal ball, and there was like a mouse in the crystal ball. And the other one I had reading tarot cards. So, my friend is into those kind of things. Well, now she's going to school to be a hypnotherapist, and she got a third cat. So I had to do the third cat for her, which I was like, okay, I'll just make that her Christmas gift. And so her third cat, I painted doing hypnotherapy. How cute is that? Now I work with epoxy resins, so and I like to paint on wood. So I painted on wood, and then I used the frame as the border for the epoxy to pour into. But it makes that really cool kind of a hard candy shell on the paintings, which is really fun. Another thing that I have been making is these they're called scrying mirrors. So they're just little picture frames that you can pop the glass out. There's a process. You've got to cleanse the glass, and do some protections on the glass, but you paint the backside with black paint, and then you put it back in the frame, and voila, reflective surface. So in a dimly lit room with some candlelight, if you go into a little bit of a meditative state, who knows what you might see in the glass. I actually want to play around with this. I see really well with my eyes closed, but it might be a really cool tool for starting to see with my eyes open. So I have noticed a couple of times that on reflective surfaces or even in my camera, I might see something in the background. So like I just took a bath. I was doing my salt soak that I do every week, and in the chrome around the faucet, in the tub, I saw something move over by the bathroom light, and I think that using a reflective surface might be an interesting way to start catching some things with my physical eyes. And so I think that I want to mess around with the scrying mirror myself. So I'm going to make myself one too. Now, speaking of the salt water, the salt baths for the holidays, Dr. Teals came out with some holiday scented Epsom salts. So this one is balsam fir, which I believe would smell like a Christmas tree. And they had some other ones. I don't remember what they were, but this one sounded the best to me. It also says it's grounding and calming essential oils are in the salt. Normally I buy lavender because I like that smell and it's very relaxing, but this one is intriguing, and it's another really good idea for gifts for this season. Today, the 21st, is the winter solstice. I don't know why I can't say that, which makes it the shortest day and the longest night, and the beginning of the pagan holiday called Yule. And then we've got the 25th, which is Christmas, but also the beginning of Hanukkah this year. And I think Kwanzaa is on the 26th. And I don't know what other holidays there are, but it's just, it's the holiday season right now. Um, so I thought these were some pretty cool gifts for people that are into the weird and unusual like me. Other than that, I make my feather fans with peacock feathers that I find walking my dogs for saging and clearing your house. So tons of fun things, I think. Anyways, I think that was kind of it that I was going to talk about today. I would love to hear anyone else if they're working on any cool projects for the holidays, to give away as gifts. Or I think about like these non-physical beings. Those are interesting. And ooh, if anyone's got stories about how their spirit animals have helped them, the way that my brother, I never even thought to call on a spirit animal in the way that my brother did. So, and I know I've mentioned before, like my daughter is very clairvoyant and just teeming with abilities. My brother is as well, and my sister goes out of body, and like um, it's not just me. It runs in the family. So I've got a lot of people in my family that I can bounce what I'm seeing and experiencing off of, and they can collaborate with me. Um, and I think that's really great because I can imagine if you were the only one going through some of this stuff, how you might feel pretty isolated and might even feel like you're losing it, like but you're not. There's a lot more going on in the world, in the universe, in the who knows how big it really is. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful holiday. All right, bye.